Good morning everyone, and welcome to the third day of the Parma Summer School 2023. My name is Davide Benozzi, and I'm a professor at the University of Parma, Department of Food and Drug, and I will moderate this session with my colleague Giovanni Sogari, also from the University of Parma. This session is about innovative food products and society. So today we will talk more about citizens, about people, and what let's say, European and general consumers and people think about, in particular, new food products. And so first, I will introduce the first two speakers. Giorgia Zamariola, who is a social scientist at the European Food Safety Authority, and is particularly, let's say, focused on social research and risk communication. And she will speak with Juana Lorenzo, also from the European Food Safety Authority in the Communication and Partnership Department. And the topic, as you can see from the slide of the first presentation, is about Eurobarometer and other tools for gathering citizen perception. So, Giorgia and Juana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Davide. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining this morning session. I hope you're not too tired after 2 days of summer school and you're ready to finalize this with this last presentation and sessions. So today, I'm with my colleague Joanna, and we're going to explain to you a bit what we're doing in social science at EFSA, and the tools that we use for understanding citizens' perception. So we'll move to the next slide. Yeah, it works. That's great. So first of all, we wanted to show you a bit our social science roadmap. This is the roadmap that sets a bit our priorities and objectives in social science at EFSA. As you can see, is aligned with our strategy, EFSA Strategy 2027. And you see that we have two pillars. One pillar is social research, and the other one is the social science advice. And we have a foundation of social science expertise. This is not only the expertise that we have in-house, but of course, we also collaborate with other peer social scientists in other EU agencies, but also internationally. We have a working group actually of experts in social science, and also hearing expert. You will actually see Wim Verbeke in a few minutes. We have, of course, also their input in our work. For the pillar of social research, you will see today some examples. So here we, of course, conduct either primary or also secondary research to understand the citizens' perception, citizens' awareness about food risks, and so on. And for the social science advice pillar, then we use all these insights to inform risk communication. And again, you will see some examples today. We have two kind of research. We call them, one is strategic. So in this case, for example, we have the Eurobarometer that Joanna will talk about. In this case, this is a broad research that we conduct, and it helps really to understand a bit what the citizens think. And then informing, for example, our campaigns or the priority of food risks topics that we want to put forward. The other kind is more targeted. So in this case, We're not talking about well, high level and broader topics, but it's more about specific topics. For example, if we see that knowledge is lacking on a specific topic, then we can conduct primary research, for example, a flash poll that Joanna will talk about as well, to understand citizens' perception about this specific one. So I will stop here and I will give the floor to Joanna that will deep dive in these two kinds of research.
Thank you, Georgia. Let me just take control. Okay, it's working. Thank you. Okay, so Georgia was just mentioning these two types of research, strategic versus more targeted. And I'm now going to guide you, will guide you now through a couple of examples of these, starting with strategic research, of which the Eurobarometer survey is an example. So this is a survey that, in a nutshell, examines Europeans' perceptions and attitudes towards food safety. In a second, we'll look a little bit more at the topics that are covered there. It is, as you can see, a large survey in terms of its sample. So we are looking typically at having about 1,000 citizens per country, with a total sample of around 26,000 across the EU. The survey is mainly done face-to-face. There have been some adaptations, especially after COVID, with some of the work done also using Kawi, so online. But still, the largest proportion of resources results is collected face-to-face. This is quite an important aspect of this type of surveys, quite characteristic of the Eurobarometer, not just the one that EFSA runs, but the Commission runs Eurobarometer surveys as well. So the recruitment, the sample, is collected using probability samples, which means that we are able to get responses from nationally representative samples for age, gender, also education. Now, it has obviously pros and cons, so it takes a little bit more legwork in terms of fielding the work. And as you can see, we are looking at about 1 month for the data collection, which is still reasonably quick, considering that data collection is done in a lot of cases in person and in all the EU27. But obviously longer periods than online, also because of the setup leading to field work. So overall, around 5 to 6 months from the questionnaire being ready, and that part is done by EFSA, and to then being able to have results. Now, one thing you may be interested in terms of the questionnaire design, that is done by us. In-house, but it's done in close collaboration both with our colleagues in the different food safety units and with our different experts. So Georgia was mentioning this expertise layer. So for example, in preparing the questionnaire, we revise the questionnaire every time there is a survey, sometimes, for example, adding new questions. And that process is done in partnership with our working group on social science methods. Now, we had the first one in 2019. In 2022, we had a new one, and we expect to do another one in 2025, which allows us to collect trend data. And you can see a link there if you're interested to know more. Now, just an overview of the different things that are captured. So questions on citizens and food safety, understanding awareness and risk perceptions, quite important then in strategic terms for the definition of our communication priorities, for informing our campaigns, etc. Also engaging with the EU food safety system. So here covers things like sources of information that people use, reasons not to engage with food safety, and etc. Again, very important for setting up our campaigns. And we had a new module with new revised questions, for example, on behavioral responses, which we are currently using together with another data for doing some follow-up analysis. Just to show you some examples, so here's an example of some trend data focusing on what is the most important factor for people when they purchase food. And you can see here that cost in 2022 really overtook the other factors, becoming the most important factor. And this was pretty much the picture across the different countries. Another example, so we collect country level data. This is quite important because we liaise with our colleagues at national level. So this is not just an important source of insights for EFSA, but also for our counterparts at national level, to whom we deliver, for example, country reports, breakdowns of data at national level, etc. So here, just an example of awareness, the topic for which people are most aware in each country. And another example here of, for instance, data we collected on what are the main sources of information. TV was, in fact, and consistently across country, the main source. And a new question that we had on reasons not to engage with food safety, which yield interesting results. So the top reason was that people took it for granted that the food sold was safe. And then, because with the Eurobarometer, we also collect a range of social demographic questions, we could actually do some, using some inferential statistics, look at who these people are and observe that, for example, these people are people who tend to trust more the national authorities, tend to have higher levels of general trust. They tend to be more aware that there are regulations to make sure the food is safe, and so forth. And here, just to give another example, we also collect data on what are the most trusted sources. And you can see that scientists are really up there, together with general practitioners and specialist doctors. And this year, we actually split between those working in private versus public organizations. And the latter ranked way higher in terms of trust. Okay, so in terms of the use of the findings, as I previewed, this is used to sort of guide our monthly planning in terms of the communication by looking at people's awareness of different topics, risk perceptions, etc. If you're interested to know more, there's a screenshot of an article on the slides that you can go to. Also, for the selection of different campaign topics, here are some images of the You Choose Safe Food campaign, and our colleague Domegoid will be talking a little bit more about that in another session. And also for target audience segmentation, because, for example, trust in actors, risk perceptions are some of the elements that we use to segment our target audiences. And you can learn more about how we do so by following and reading that article. Okay, so here are just some examples. The report, also the fact sheets, country fact sheets that we produce as part of this work. And we also have this dynamic dashboard down in Power BI in-house, which allows member states to really interact with the data. Turning now to the second example, the flash poll. So these, as you can see, they are much smaller in terms of sample size. We collect data in 24 countries, and here we are looking at a much smaller sample of around 300 to 400 people. It's purely done online, and the main purpose here is really to generate quick insights among EU citizens on a specific topic. So unlike the Eurobarometer, where we use probabilistic sample, here we rely on online panels. However, these kind of surveys, they do have quite some advantages in terms of allowing us quick turnaround. You can see that from 3 to 5 days, we are able to get data. And then also we do the design of the questionnaire in-house, again, consulting with our food safety experts and with our counterparts, our social science expert network. Then we move on to basically collect the data. This is done by an external contractor, but then we do the analysis and the communication in-house. So that really speeds up, which means that we are pretty much looking at 10 to 15 days from having the questionnaire to getting the raw data for the analysis. And these are one-off because, again, they depend on, they are mainly targeted research and then depend on what kind of topics we are keen or it's most relevant to get data on a given point. Just to mention an example, here a flash poll that we did in November 2021 on new genomic techniques. It covered a number of topics, as you can see on the left. And these are short surveys in terms of the number of questions, but they yield relevant insights. So for example, it revealed that interest in new genomic techniques is quite low, as is knowledge. Another interesting finding was that people actually perceive some of the potential effects of new genomic techniques as positive, mainly if you're looking at their impact on quantity of food produced or over climate change. And so these sort of insights from a research point of view are then communicated in-house and also to our counterparts in the commission. And it was, for example, one of the sources they used as part of their impact assessment when they were putting together this initiative that you can see here on the screen on the European Green Deal, so more sustainable use of plant and soil natural resources. And again, here is a recent paper we published, which taps a little bit into this data in case you're interested to know more. Just in closing, I would like to mention that both the data from the flash polls and the Eurobarometer is publicly available, the raw data, and you can access it through Zenodo in case you want to use it for some of your own research. And I'll pass on to Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. So we'll close this presentation just with, yeah. Yeah, it works, so thank you. Okay, we wanted just to show you how all this data then come together, because you saw that we have many different sources of information. So how then we use all this? We are developing these concern assessments, and you see here on the screen, they are built with many different sources of information. So we use the flash poll, we use the Eurobarometer, but we use also social media listening data. This is a tool that we have in-house that helps us in understanding what is the social media discourse around a topic. We also gather knowledge about the media coverage on that topic. So here it's an example from New Genomic Techniques. And we also look at peer-reviewed papers, so secondary research, in order to understand what is also the research out there about this topic. So we build these concern assessments about on different topics. We don't have only the topic of new genomic techniques, and this helps us in then communication planning and risk communication. What we do in the concern assessment is then to map the topic on these binary scales. And if you want more information, there is a link to our scientific report in which we explain all these different factors. These are factors that we have gathered from literature, and they all can influence risk perception. So we see which ones apply for the topic. So you see here again the example of new genomic techniques. Some of them do not apply. So you see some of them that are in gray, and we map only the ones on which we have information about. So for example, you see that new genomic techniques can be perceived as non-natural, man-made. Also, we look at the sociocultural context, and for example, there could be some stigma for people that maybe associate this with GMO. I will show you also just a screenshot of our social media listening tool. You see that we can gather information about the trends. So here it's an image of the social media discourse in 1 year. And we can see for every spike what happened on that day, what triggered this increase in volume. And we have also information about the sentiment. So sentiment can be either negative, neutral, or positive. Lastly, what we do is to map this topic along these two axes. One is knowledge and one is perception. So you see that these two information are based on all these different criteria. So awareness, knowledge, social media volume for knowledge, and for perception, concern, importance, interest, and the sentiment. And then we assign a value, either low, medium, or high. And we get then a score for knowledge and for perception that then we map in this diagram that you see on the screen to see where this topic lands. So you see that, for example, for new genomic techniques, we can say that it's a topic of low knowledge and low perception for the moment, at the moment of the assessment. And then for each quadrant, we have different risk communication objectives or function. And in this case, so you see them here on the screen, they are taken from the literature. Again, if you want more information, there is a link to the paper. So the 4 objectives are enlightenment, confidence building, risk reduction, or cooperative decision making. And for a topic like new genomic techniques, we could say that enlightenment, it's maybe the most appropriate, because for the moment there is indeed low awareness and low knowledge. So informing citizens about what they are could be the way forward. So we'll stop here because we gave you a lot of information, and we are here, of course, at the Q&A session if you have questions. Thank you.